The recent phone call between Donald Trump and Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has sparked outrage and deep concern across Europe and the global stage. Reports from insiders familiar with the call paint a picture of a disastrous and confrontational exchange, with Trump aggressively reiterating his desire to acquire Greenland, a semi-autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. The call has reportedly led to a diplomatic crisis, deepening rifts between the U.S. and its European allies, while leaving Denmark and its partners scrambling to assess potential threats. The Greenland proposal and Denmark's response. Trump opened the conversation by stating his intentions bluntly. He wanted Greenland to become part of the United States. Frederiksen's response was measured but firm, rejecting the idea outright and emphasizing that Greenland is not for sale. Despite her attempts to steer the conversation towards strengthening military and economic cooperation, Trump reportedly dismissed her overtures and continued to push his agenda. According to 5 European officials briefed on the call, Trump's tone became increasingly aggressive. Witnesses described the interaction as horrendous, with Trump resorting to threats and insults. One official noted, "It was a cold shower. Before, it was hard to take this seriously, but now we see it as a serious and potentially dangerous development." Frederiksen, for her part, held her ground. She reiterated Denmark's sovereignty over Greenland, highlighting its 800-year history as part of the Danish kingdom. Despite her diplomatic efforts, the call ended without resolution, leaving European officials alarmed by the U.S. president's belligerence. Global backlash and strategic implications. The fallout from the call has been swift and severe. European leaders are reportedly in crisis mode, with Denmark, NATO allies, and the European Union assessing how to counter any potential U.S. actions. The concern is not limited to rhetoric. Trump's behavior has prompted speculation that he may attempt to use military or economic pressure to force Denmark's hand. Greenland's strategic importance cannot be overstated. The Arctic island, home to only 57,000 people, holds significant geopolitical value due to its location and resources. As global warming opens new shipping lanes through the Arctic, Greenland's mineral wealth and strategic positioning have attracted interest from major powers like Russia and China. Trump's focus on Greenland is seen as part of a broader strategy to assert U.S. dominance in the Arctic, but his methods have alienated allies and emboldened adversaries. Trump's broader territorial ambitions. This is not the first time Trump has expressed expansionist ambitions. Reports suggest he has also floated the idea of annexing Canada and reacquiring the Panama Canal. His rhetoric reflects a revival of manifest destiny, a 19th-century ideology used to justify U.S. territorial expansion. Trump and his allies frame these proposals as necessary for national security and economic prosperity, but critics argue they undermine international norms and destabilize global relations. For example, Andy Ogles, a Republican congressman, recently introduced a proposal to grant Trump the authority to acquire Greenland. Ogles described the U.S. as the dominant predator in global affairs and framed Greenland's acquisition as essential to countering Russia and China in the Arctic. Similarly, MAGA Republican Brandon Gill has called for a new golden age of America, advocating for the annexation of Greenland, the Panama Canal, and even renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. These ideas, while extreme, underscore the expansionist vision driving Trump's foreign policy. Diplomatic isolation and domestic consequences. Trump's actions have left the United States increasingly isolated on the world stage. America now finds itself without allies, as traditional partners distance themselves from the administration's aggressive and erratic behavior. This isolation is starkly illustrated by the U.S.'s withdrawal from international organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO. Once a leader in global cooperation, the U.S. now stands alongside a handful of pariah states, eroding its influence and credibility. Domestically, Trump's policies have exacerbated existing crises. Labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, and inflation have been worsened by his administration's mass deportation policies and erratic governance. For instance, the current egg shortage, blamed by some on avian flu, has also been linked to Trump's mishandling of agricultural and labor policies. Critics argue that Trump's approach has created chaos at home and abroad, undermining the stability and prosperity of the United States. Reactions from Greenland and Denmark. In Greenland, Trump's proposals have been met with widespread opposition. Residents have expressed disdain for the idea of becoming part of the United States, with many emphasizing their cultural and political ties to Denmark. "I want to stick with the Danish government," one Greenlander told reporters, reflecting the sentiment of many on the island. Danish officials have also pushed back against Trump's overtures. Anders Vistisen, a Danish member of the European Parliament, delivered a blunt message to Trump, stating, "Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It is not for sale." This sentiment has been echoed across Denmark and the broader European community, with leaders warning that Trump's actions threaten to destabilize transatlantic relations. The role of MAGA Republicans. Trump's expansionist agenda has been bolstered by support from MAGA Republicans in Congress. These lawmakers have embraced a vision of American dominance, often invoking militaristic and imperialist rhetoric. Their proposals, such as granting Trump lifelong dictatorial powers or amending the Constitution to consolidate his authority, have drawn sharp criticism from Democrats and moderate Republicans alike. The rhetoric from MAGA Republicans underscores a shift in U.S. politics toward a more confrontational and unilateral approach to international relations. This shift has alarmed allies and adversaries alike, as the U.S. abandons its role as a global leader in favor of aggressive nationalism. A world on edge. The fallout from Trump's phone call with Denmark's prime minister is a microcosm of his broader approach to governance: confrontational, erratic, and often counterproductive. By alienating allies and pursuing unrealistic territorial ambitions, Trump has plunged the U.S. into diplomatic isolation and heightened global tensions. As Europe and other regions brace for the potential consequences of his second term, the world is left grappling with the implications of an America led by a president who prioritizes power over partnership.